All right, awesome. So we are here for our weekly tips for energy healing. And the tip I have prepared for today, I was a little surprised when it came to me intuitively, but I think it's useful. And this is definitely for a more advanced tip. So if you guys are still struggling with the mechanics, back burner this for now, right? And this is based on one of the uh, Awakening Intensive discussions we had a few years ago. And it's this, that I found, as being a professional energy healing practitioner, one thing that I had to be careful about was it's difficult sometimes when you bring up something for your client. It's difficult sometimes to tell if you're sharing it because it's something you want to say or because it's something that they need to hear. And, this is not something I've heard others talk about, but when I've talked to others who were, professional life coaches, healers, that sort of thing, they go, yeah, there's a tendency that we tend to see the world through the prism of our last experiences. And so I think it's important, as much as we can within reason, we want to keep your client session focused on what they need and what's going to move them forward, right? And the way we go about that is actually pretty simple. That you already know how to do it for the most part. That it's very similar to the space clearing. And basically, and you can use this more generally for example, when you're pushing the cart around the grocery store and all of a sudden you get a headache. So what's going on? Well, sometimes that's your headache. Other times it's energy you picked up from someone nearby. And so you can use the clean or heal to simply take away all the stuff that isn't mine, or some version of that. And those of you that have studied energy healing, anyone seen some version of that before? Okay, I'm glad someone has. Awesome, Rebecca Lynn. So Phyllis, cool. Yeah, it's a good practice. So um, I would say in the session, if something comes up and it feels right, just share it. Don't worry about it, right? But sometimes you're like, on the fence of whether or not you should share something. I would just very quickly, super fast, clean, take away the thoughts that are about me and not about my client, or some version of that. Or maybe clean, take away the energy and thoughts that won't serve my client right now, some version of that. Do it super fast. And if you still feel like sharing, go for it. Because there's no universal law that says that the same idea story can't both serve you because you want to share it and serve them because they need to hear it, right? So just because you want to share it doesn't mean it's not of value, right? That's just, I've noticed that just in myself, certainly more when I was starting, I would learn some new technique or approach or something, and then it would show up over and over in my sessions over the next few weeks. So that's not always bad, but some of that's got to be me wanting to share it, maybe when the client doesn't need it. Does that make sense? So again, you can use this more generally, clear, clean things that aren't mine anytime you like. If you're clearing your home, you might, do it something like what I would do is clear the energy that doesn't belong to me, my family, or my cats, right? Get rid of all of it. So when you're in the session, I would clean, the thoughts that are not serving my client in this session. Does that make sense? And if you're confused by any of this, skip it. This is a refinement, right? A little way to make you a little more on point, a little more effective by trying to stick to, hey, what does my client need to move forward right now? I'll just put in the caveat. Sometimes when I share a story or go on a tangent, it's because I either need to distract my client, because the toast don't pop when you're watching the toaster, right? Or two, sometimes they just need time to process. And I've always thought that sharing a cool anecdote or story or insight or experience is a lot better than dead air, huh? But as soon as you feel that they've processed, you jump right back in. Does that make sense? Cool. So so there's your tip for energy healing, future YouTubers and such. Yeah. Let me turn off the record.